Hi, my name is Don Costello, and I believe all of us who are listening to this probably were educated on 2nd Avenue and 2nd Street. And we all have fond memories of that building. Those of you who went in my day will remember there was a graveyard right there in the sort of the entryway as you came into the school. As you know, the Lasallian brothers were really strong on their Catholic faith. They took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and they held themselves to very strong attachment to that. And when we had Brother Cajetan was a virulent anti-communist. I mean, there's no question about Brother Cajetan and his anti-communism. And he was very pro-labor. And it's hard to believe today, but they had us read Rerum Novarum and Quadragesimo Anno back then. And I would say the kids that go through both high school and college probably never even heard of those epistles, or not epistles, but those letters from the popes. So Brother Cajetan would make sure we knew that. But the thing about Brother Cajetan that we most remember is Brother Cajetan in the library. And Brother Cajetan in the library, what we remember him using the expression, "you old gom." Now, Brother Cajetan wasn't from Ireland, but he had a lot of Irish ways. The other thing about Brother Cajetan, his left hand, he had a crippling left pinky. And this will enter into the story as we talk about Brother Cajetan. So when you came into Brother Cajetan's library, and he was the librarian, he would make sure that you had the whole story I'm telling now is about the library book that you had out, the report you gave on the library book, whether you had your brown scapular and you had your rosary bead. So when you would come into Brother Cajetan's room, he would see you there and welcome you. And then he would begin his going down the line of the people who were in the class. There were never more than 12 or 13, a lot of times 8 kids in the class. So he'd say, Don Costello, he'd say, "Do you have your book on Ivanhoe?" "Oh, yes, brother, I got my book on Ivanhoe." "Have you written a report on it?" "Oh, yes, brother, I've written a report on that." "Do you have your brown scapular?" "Oh, yes, brother, I got it." "You have your rosary bead?" "Oh, brother, I forgot my rosary beads." "Oh, kneel down, Don." Then he'd go to the next Watson, Tom Watson, and he'd say the same thing to Tom. And invariably, you'd go down the line of students, and most of them had something that they missed. Those who didn't miss were allowed to sit down and not worry about things. The rest of us had to kneel on our knees. Then he'd go down the line, person by person, and he'd say, "Costello, you forgot your rosary beads. You old gum, take 2." And he'd go like that on both, with his pinky on your head, and give you 2, "you old gum." And you would see stars for 2 or 3 seconds. And he'd go around to the next guy and do the same thing to them. Of course, all these days, Brother Cajetan would be up and sing for any of this today. But in those days, this kind of corporal punishment was accepted. In fact, my father went down and he wanted to know if he had to sign anything to remove the brothers, any belief that the brothers were allowed to do anything that they wanted to me, his errant son. So then it would become time to read your report. So he would would take his deck of cards. He had a card for every book, and he would say Ivanhoe, and he'd look on the back and it'd say Don Costello, and he'd say, "Okay, Costello, read me what you have about Ivanhoe." And if it was satisfactory, he said, "Okay," and he'd go on to the next person, and each person in turn would read their report. Of course, some of us errant New York kids would fake it. They wouldn't have read the book, they wouldn't have written a report, and so they would fake it. And brother had a third sense about all that, and he'd say, "Bring that book up and show me what you have written." And if you had got caught in your faking, you got the old gone treatment. So brother continued this week in, week out, and though we all dreaded going to Brother Catcheton's room, we all laughed about it and teased each other about it lots of times.